Hello, world. Welcome to AI Media, TV, radio, and podcasts. Right here in the studio, it is 24th of September, Wednesday, 2025, and time check is exactly 8 in the evening here in Stockholm, Sweden. How is the going wherever you are, wherever you're listening to us from, wherever you're watching us from, live here in the studios of AI. And today's topic is gonna be about how to advance as a musician, a vocalist, or a singer as an adult. That is the gist of the point. As an adult, but not only music or as instrumentalists, vocalists, but in all aspects of life, how to advance as an adult. It is so challenging to move forth as an adult. And some people, as humans, you might get challenges, you might get things that want to put you down, pull you down, to gravitate you down. But you have to generate a hard skin and go through kith and kin to be a winner. Because if you lose hope, you can't go forth. So today I piled or compiled 14 points for you who wants to advance in life. But today we are focusing on music, instrumentalists, vocalists, and singers. But this topic is so wide and broad, and you can apply it in all spectrums of life, in anything you want to do, be it studies, be it learning a new language. I mean, just learning something as an adult. And then we shall waste no more time. We set off with the first point. And this says, embrace the beginner's mindset. Embrace the beginner's mindset. Adults often compare themselves to professionals or regret starting late. Reframe your journey. Beginners have fresh curiosity and can progress faster with consistent effort. If we talk about that, embracing the beginner's mindset, there is always time for fast beginnings. You'll always start at some point. And in life, we are not at the same point. Life is a roller coaster from different cultures, different traditions, different families, different backgrounds. We encounter different lives and live different lifestyles. We all can't be Warren Buffett, of course, but that doesn't mean that we cannot be what we want to be if we were not born in a family or from a background like that of a Warren Buffett. You name it. People who are doing socially well at home, people who haven't really undergone, as they call it in Swedish, missbruk. You don't have addictions that put you down, maybe family breakups. You haven't grown in a house where there have been divorces. And you didn't really get the chance of like both parents to be on you, to show you the direction of being a musician. And now, because of the love of music, you find you've grown up and you want to begin. The first thing, as we said, don't compare yourself to no one. Just have the beginner's mindset and know that there is a time for beginnings. Take that in mind and say, okay, I'm starting this as a beginner, and don't look up to professionals. For instance, if you want to be a bassist and then you start looking to people like Richard Bonner, he's played since he was 6 years. You're just 30. You know, you can't play like him. People like Scott, People like the Pinos, they've started so young, the Marcus Millers. And I'll give you one prominent example. There is a singer called Bill Withers. He started singing at 30 years of age after serving in the Navy. After his service, because he had the passion, but he came up with strong music, strong albums. The Lean on Me. When you're not strong, I'll be your friend. That is Bill Withers at 30. This can be done and it can really happen as long as you keep the beginner's mindset within you. The beginner's mindset doesn't really put you down, but it is like a motivation to you. We kick off with point number 2. The second point is consistency beats intensity. And here we highlight the way we practice as musicians. You're starting to learn a new instrument. You're training your voice. You want to sing in a certain way. You want to have your identity as a singer. If you hold the mic and open up your voice, you sing with your tongue. Someone from afar, even though they don't look at you, they'll just say, this is so and so singing. I can comprehend his voice. That comes with consistency, not the intensity. So what's the difference in this? As we begin as musicians, as singers, we are told, we get advices from different people, recommendations, which are good. You could be told, practice 3 hours a day. But as an adult, that works really for somebody who doesn't have much on his table, doesn't have kids to look after, doesn't have a job to think after, doesn't have bills to pay and all that. That could work. But as an adult, you wake up, you go to work, you plan your day, your week, your month, a year, you have goals. So really consistency would work. Even if you take like 20 minutes a day in practice, you get that guitar and play it. You go to the piano and just press the buttons, the keys rather. You get the drums, you play the beat. You get your djembe, you play it. You get the fuel. Consistency, not intensity. With intensity, if you could do consistency and intensity, how good would that sound? But we're talking about people who are busy. As adults, you know it. Consistency, practice just a little bit, but at least daily. If you can combine intensity, then 3 hours, if you can do that a day, then that will be marvelous. So let's think more of consistency instead of intensity. Then the results will speak for themselves. With consistency, we build the muscle memory, and that is crucial and important to us as musicians, as singers, as instrumentalists. Even if you're learning how to ride a bicycle, we're building the muscle memory. Learning how to sing, learning how to drive a car, that is all muscle memory. So if you can't practice 5 hours a day, but you do it once a week, your muscle memory won't develop as much as a person who does it for a lesser time rather, or minutes, but does it daily. Because their muscle memory will grasp what they're doing daily. This takes us to point number 3. And this says set clear goals. As a beginner, you know where you want to end from. You know your starting point and you know where you want to end. So if your goal is, okay, I want to just learn simple chords and be playing simple lullabies, or if you want to learn advanced stuff and play advanced lullabies, that starts from the word go. You set clear goals and say, by this time and this time, I want to be at this point. After this moment, I want to get at this juncture. And that comes with setting a clear goals. You don't need to wait too long with setting the goals. You can set the goals with the immediate effect. When you start to get your instrument, your mic, writing those lyrics. You want to become a good music writer. You set clear goals. And you say, by this time, after 6 months of practice, after a year of practice, after 8 months of practice, I want to be at this point. And that really helps a lot. Point number 4, learn the language of music. You know, music is an international language. We define music in different ways. In one of my songs called Fantasy, I said, music is food for the soul. And others say it is a relieving therapy. And then I go on and say, there is no passing or failing on this point, but the answer lies inside within your heart. Music is a language. So whatever it is like learning a language. You practice a lot. For instance, theory basics, you advance faster. Scales, rhythms, patterns, intervals, chords, recognition. For vocalists, ear training and solfege can dramatically improve pitch. You know, music has almost 3 basic elements. That is rhythm, interpretation, and pitch. So with solfege, your pitch will be incredible. And for instrumentalists, even knowing major minor scales unlocks easier improvisations. You know, you can't communicate if you can't speak the language. Let's say you moved from Taiwan and came to Stockholm. The easiest way is learning Swedish because everyone speaks it. That's the easier way to communicate with everyone else. When you go to Rome, you behave like the Romans. That's the same thing with music. Learning the music language, the scales. You can't do music without knowing the scales. Know your scales, know the rhythms, know the pitch, and all this combined, you will be a disaster in a good way. Whenever they see you, they say, oh, yourself, you be proud of yourself, of that what you're doing. Learning the music language. This takes us to the next point. And this is point number 5. It says build muscle memory. We talked about muscle memory before in point 1. But for muscle memory as singers, you could do it by doing warm-ups, train the vocal cords and breathing muscles. You know, there are a lot of techniques you could do. There is a lot of dynamics. I mean, you could sing, you could look at people. You look at big artists, famous, popular, and loved, and you watch them do the same song year in, year out, but it is still loved. When you listen to it, how it was produced, and even when you listen to their live performances, how is this true? It can only be true because even as professionals, they still do the muscle memory training. You say, okay, in last year on a show, at this point I sang like this. And then when they get to the next year, he doesn't sing like that. He changes to da di da di da da da, singing the same thing in the same song. And then you're like, oh God, this is incredible, because they're training their muscles, they're doing the exercises, they're doing the repertoire. You get the point. Building an incredible muscle memory. And for instrumentalists, slow, mindful practice locks in accuracy. Speed comes later. You know, as a beginner, you look at people who don't look at the Henrys, Corey Henry. You'll be blown up. These guys have trained and practiced all their lives. But remember, you're just the beginner mindset. If you have that, you start slow and then you develop fluidity. You become too fast. You develop your speed, personal speed, you personalize it, and then you can play how fast you want after some time of practice and training. Muscle memory. That is crucial as well. Point number 6. This this might sound, I know, for the man or the male creature, this might sound odd, but so helpful when learning. It's just like going into an interview or doing a presentation. It is good to record yourself as a performer, as a learner, as a beginner. It helps a lot because when you revisit what you did before, it helps you know where your weaknesses are, where you're advancing, and where you're doing better. Okay, at this point, maybe I need to apply such and such a technique. Maybe I need to do this and this a technique. Maybe if I give you an example, like a bassist, I'm playing a bebop scale blended with chromatic exercise. If I'm playing something like that and then I mess it up, if I didn't record myself, I won't know where I messed up. If I'm playing a song, sina makosa, and play wrong chords at a certain point as a beginner, if I go back and look at the video that I did, then I know, okay, my weakness is maybe in knowing the counts of the song, maybe the beats, maybe how it switches and shifts. So videos are really good to both male and female. For the female, that's like a cup of tea for them. It's not so hard. And adults often hear issues: timing, tuning, clarity they didn't notice while playing. Keep an audio practice journal. You'll hear your growth over weeks. It's so important. And then we go to number 7 before we take a short break. And this says find community and feedback. I'll read this for you. Adults improve faster with feedback, accountability, and encouragement. Options: local jam sessions or choirs, online forums or teacher-led Zoom groups, collaborating with a friend who also plays or sings. Music is social. Sharing makes progress more meaningful. I mean, find a community where you can get both positive and negative feedback, because we need it as beginners, as learning artists, musicians, singers, and composers, instrumentalists. If you find people who do what you do, you learn from them and even get much better. And with that, we take a quick break and we will be right back.